Before I start, please know that I have to like this game out of principle. This game is challenging the stagnation of Call of Duty in the same AAA studio tier, and thus I have to give criticism that I think will make this game succeed. I reiterate, this is coming from a place of enjoying the game and wanting it to challenge the likes of Call of Duty. So, the largest complaint I hear people talking about is the netcode. Let me explain something, and I ask you bear with me. Basically, a lot of games have problems with netcode, more than you realize. Like, the types of problems that XDefiant is experiencing. It isn't like XDefiant has incompetent developers at the helm programming the game. It isn't that these developers are inept compared to other developers. But the key difference is that other developers know how to hide it, or more likely are designing around it. You would think that after like 30 years of internet gaming we would have this sort of thing figured out, but no, you still have to account for things like this. Any sort of latency combined with high speeds will never mix. It isn't that a lot of fast-paced games don't use high time to kill because it's a design choice, but because with our current internet infrastructure, most connections just aren't fast enough to keep up. If you start prioritizing the aim skill that comes with high time to kill, players are going to notice the difference between how long it takes for them to get a kill and how fast they die. And that problem will become more noticeable the more you increase the difference between time to kill and the speed of the characters. You will get a lot of instances of a player getting into cover on their screen and still dying. So, for example, let's say I peek my head out and try to get a kill, then get back into cover. In a game like Call of Duty, a large fraction of the time in an engagement is attributed to reaction times. And when you break it down, the reason we as humans usually notice 200 ping much more than 100 ping is because of our reaction times. We still can notice a difference between 50 ping and 100 ping, but most people don't start saying the ping is unplayable until you start hitting 200 milliseconds because of reaction times. The fraction where our reaction times is taking up more of the engagement compared to the actual killing, it's a much higher fraction in a lower time to kill environment, and that plays to the netcode's advantage most of the time. But when you start dealing with speeds like this, the current time to kill to speed ratio is not ideal. You basically hit the sweet spot for when problems will be the most noticeable. So, XDefiant. The best thing you can do is not spend a ton of time trying to rework your netcode. Your netcode is probably as good as it's going to get. You don't have an infrastructure problem, you have a design problem. And when it comes to R&D, that is a much easier problem to work around. We don't want fast arcade movement with slow time to kill like Overwatch. We want fast-paced combat like Call of Duty, and they have always made sure to keep the time to kill very short. And having extreme range differences, like the current values, between the same weapon isn't helping. It's hard for players to consolidate a gun that usually gets like 4 shots to kill to suddenly getting 8 or 9 shots. I understand from a design perspective why you do that, but gamers don't really care, for lack of a better word. They just start wondering why the hell their gun is getting a ton of hit markers, quote unquote, out of nowhere. Does that make sense? Anyway, my advice, lower the time to kill across the board, make weapons more consistent, and work from there. I think you will have a lot of success with that approach. And again, I do really enjoy this game, and I really want to see it succeed, and that's why I'm taking the time out to make a video, because I think that with just a little tweaking, you guys can really make something that's going to change up the landscape of the game. See you guys later.